Hey everybody, it's A Dog's Life with Angela Ardolino, and I am the biggest fan of this guest of mine today. I have two guests, but I'm going to talk about the first one first. And I think it's taken us about 2 years to get him to come on my show today. He doesn't even know that he's one of my favorite vets ever. And I think the best way to describe Dr. Paul Rowan, who is my guest, with Rena. Rena, I don't even know your last name, but thank you, Rena. We're going to get to you, I promise. But I want to read a letter that I know your staff made you do so that they could put it up on Facebook. And you were probably like, oh, fine, I'll do it. Just like you're doing this podcast with us today. But I want to read it because to me, it sums up who you are. So if you'll bear with me, I want my listeners to hear this. This is a letter from Dr. Paul Rowan. It's on his Facebook page, Center for Animal Healing, Virginia Beach Pet Wellness Center. And it goes like this. I'm fed up. For too many years, I've had clients bring in their pets with all too similar complaints. Condition is too complicated, expensive, needs surgery, or he'll die, or there's nowhere to go from here. There are many alternatives to conventional veterinary care, but conventional veterinarians are either unaware of their existence or unwilling to admit that there are alternative treatments. Many of these options are more effective and much less expensive than the standard care. I plan to discuss some of these alternatives and experiences in the coming few weeks to months while illustrating the actual cases and how they can be approached. My name is Dr. Paul Rowan. I graduated from the University of California, Davis in 1937. I have been practicing for 53 years. I don't even know how that's possible. 30 of them in conventional practice and the past 23 years in alternative care. I trained after graduation at the Animal Medical Center in New York City as an intern and surgical resident. I followed that with a year at Mount Sinai Medical Center as a fellow cardiothoracic surgery. I opened the first facility to treat feline disease in NYC. I was a graduate program in the New York University in telecommunications and designed communication projects in Maine and North Carolina. I returned to Virginia, where I spent 13 years of my life in 1987 and worked in Williamsburg, Hampton, VA Beach. I owned and practiced at Owl Creek Veterinary Hospital until selling that and began the Center of Animal Healing in 1999. The major difference between my practice now and those in the past is that I dispense no drugs.
Yay!
Hallelujah. I use chiropractic care, real food nutrition, microcurrent, essential oils, and homeopathy to treat my patients. I have treated thousands of patients over the years. None have given me a sense of accomplishment as those I see now. I have become a healer, not a technician who just depends on numbers for diagnosis and treatment. This makes me so happy. Please do not think this work is done by me alone. I have 5 people in my practice, all whom are essential. Tracy Espinosa, CFAH administrator, who keeps us all on task and who kept asking me to write this blog. She's the young one. Dr. Laura Lynn Barnett, a chiropractor who treats both animals and humans. Andrea Karija, did I say that right? Andy, our scheduling wizard and happiest face on the planet. And Rena Leland, who's also here with us today. Our primary microcurrent technician who helps our most difficulty comprised patients back to functioning again. Sheena West is our microcurrent tech trained by Rena herself and already promising technician in her own right. I'm so happy to have you guys on.
It's nice to be here.
It's so nice to hear that because all my listeners are constantly hearing me explain to them the difference between a conventional, an integrative, an alternative, and a holistic vet. And I've owned a groom shop and boarding facility for 3 years now. And my rescue farm I've had for 15 years. And 80% of the animals that I see have issues. Mm-hmm. And I feel like most of the issues start with a little issue, a problem like diarrhea, or maybe a cough that can't be identified, and then they're given some antibiotic or something that wrecks them. And then this vicious cycle just keeps happening and happening and happening. I did it. I lost my 7-year-old miniature schnauzer because I did everything my conventional vet told me to do. I fed the kibble. I vaccinated every single year like they told me to. I did the flea and tick. I did the heartworm. I did it all. And I lost her at 7 years old, even got an autopsy and spent over $15,000, even got an autopsy. And they said the only thing they could find was irritable bowel. When I found out that the majority of us pet parents are going through that and suffering that, you can imagine my mission and obviously yours. So thank you so much for being, for doing what you're doing. It amazes me. I can't imagine being a veterinarian and going, wait, this isn't working. There's got to be more, or hearing about more and ignoring it, like cannabis medicine. How do you can't ignore it. I'm sure there's not a vet in this country that doesn't have a patient coming in and asking them about it, right?
Absolutely.
I'm going to shut up now. Tell me about that journey. I mean, did you feel that way? Did you feel that, hey, I'm practicing everything that I'm learning, but I'm not seeing animals get better, and keep questioning and asking? And how did you answer those questions and change and do something different?
Well, it's hard to say for sure. A lot of it had to do with personal experience. About 25 years ago, I was having some severe health issues, and I found a chiropractor who said, "Do you want to get better, or do you just want me to keep on treating, your symptoms?" And so I told him I really wanted to get well, and he said, "Well, it'll take about 2 years."
Wow.
I went to see him every day. Actually, I could not hold a subluxation at all,
Wow.
or I couldn't hold an adjustment, I should say. So I had so many subluxations, and within 5 months, I was completely healthy. I felt like 10 years younger.
Awesome.
And so then I started looking into how I could do this for my patients. And this was before the internet, so it took a while. We had to go through journals, and he said, "I know there's a place somewhere." And so that was when I first got certified in animal chiropractic, and that was about 23 years ago, I think.
Wow.
And once I started doing chiropractic care on my patients, I realized, oh, they're getting so much better, and I'm not using any drugs. And so that led to further just getting away from conventional kind of practice. I had sold my practice at that point to a corporate group. And that was perfect because it gave me an out. And in 5 years, they were more than happy to have me leave because I wasn't making money for them anymore, because I wasn't selling drugs and I wasn't recommending the food. And which was obviously all dry kibble stuff.
Right.
And then as I got into just doing the chiropractic practice, then my youngest daughter at the time was about 2, and she had some very unusual respiratory problems, and she kept coughing up all this phlegm, and she couldn't sleep through the night.
Wow.
And a friend of mine who's another chiropractor that had been talking about this FSM. And she said, well, she's really too young to treat her, but have your wife come in. I'll have your daughter lay on her, and we'll run the microcurrent through her mother. And 2 treatments after we had gone through all of the chiropractic, all of the conventional stuff, 2 treatments, she was better.
Wow.
And so she said, this is something you really need to learn. And I started, learning about microcurrents. So it's been about 15 years, I think, now.
Wow. Well, I have no idea what it is, and I'm sure my listeners don't. I mean, I have a little bit of an idea of what it is. Okay, so we're talking about microcurrent. So explain to us what that is.
Okay. It's a method of treatment using microcurrents, which are currents less than 1,000th of an amp. And it's the resonance effect of that current and the tissue that it's directed towards. And it helps to, there's a resonance between those two things. And that is what restores health or prevents problems from occurring. And these are very specific currents, and they're very specific tissues that they're directed towards. Let's see, what's the best way to say it? The current is in milliamps. It's barely registered on the body. In other words, this is the current that we all have.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a current within our body that is directing everything through us. And it's utilizing very specific frequencies that will address, for instance, inflammation. There is a frequency for inflammation in the cord. There's a frequency for inflammation in the peripheral nerves. There's a frequency for, inflammation in any tissue in the body.
Wow. And
these are programmed into the programs that we see.
So how do you do it on a dog? Like, do you attach them to something? Is it like, how does it work?
Yeah.
So
I Rena, she's the one who does all this stuff.
Awesome.
So basically what happens is the client comes in with their animal, and basically we get a protocol, and it depends on the dog's specific ailment what that protocol would be. I like to tell them that everything in the body runs on a specific frequency, and then when there's inflammation or injury, that specific frequency does not flow properly. So energy will take the path of least resistance.
Got it.
So if there's an injury, it's going to go around that. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the inflammation, reset that specific frequency just for that condition. Example would be ACL injury, ACL tear, back injuries, which along with chiropractic care is extremely effective. And then sometimes we have some senior dog protocols and occasionally some internal organ things. So, and how we do it is we basically put a superhero cape on all of our animals and they just become magically healed. No, but we do put a wet cape on their back and we wet their spine down really well. And then we also, that's where we put the positive leads. And then we run negative leads to the back legs. An example would be the ACL tear, that would be in the back legs. And those are the negative leads. So the back feet are wet, and then we put a wet felt on them and then hook the clips to them. So an ACL tear, we may use 6 protocols. And there are protocols such as spinal cord, nerve pain, connective tissue, and basic ligament. Those are specifically for that CCL tear. And then concussion and relaxing balance. Those seal the frequencies in and tell the body that it's okay to accept them. So it kind of settles everything in. And it's just an alternative to surgery. When it comes to surgery, you have, your anesthesia, which can long-term be an issue for the dog. You have downtime, for an ACL tear. It could be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks in a kennel kept. And nobody wants their dog to be kenneled for that long. And plus it saves them tons of money, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for the surgery.
And an ACL, I mean, isn't there a high percentage that they tear it again, or doesn't it also have a high percentage of healing itself? Because I had a dog that tore its ACL and I remember all this.
Yeah, actually one of the advantages of using microcurrent is that we actually treat both legs. So
Awesome.
that we're helping to strengthen the opposite leg. So we rarely have had situation where a second leg has gone. There was one patient that happened right at the end of treating the first leg, the second one went. But he responded incredibly rapidly to that. And then unfortunately, he was younger too. And
So
that makes a difference.
is it like a thing you strap on them? How does it
It's
like, what does it look like?
so jean material works the best. And the best thing I can explain, we have an elastic band that goes around the neck, and then we come high up on the neck and down the spine, and that is the jean material. They're custom made, of course, because you can't order these on what is it, Amazon.
Okay, well then we need to get together because we have hemp denim,
Oh, really? That is
which is naturally antifungal, antimicro, lasts forever, doesn't deteriorate. So yeah, maybe we
very
can make those
interested.
for you.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
very interested. And we always need capes because we're constantly washing them and going through them. But it's pretty simple. In most cases, the dogs are not they're pretty cool most of the time.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll get one that's rambunctious. And of course, we'll give them some of the heel, make sure their parents have the heel, the CBD dog health, so that when they come back, they're not like crazy and, but most of the time they're pretty submissive. Occasionally we'll have one that's a little bit more aggressive or, a little fidgety or wants to stand the entire time. But most of the time they just lay down and they take the treatment. We put a band around their belly, an elastic band around their belly to keep the cape in place. But it's pretty, there's a little pocket on the back where we have the graphite and we hook the leads up to, but it works, and it works for, every dog. Every dog is different, but, depending on age and things like that and kind of injury, we're able to help the majority of them, which 95% at least. So
what is like your biggest success story? Because I know that, we're constantly being contacted about, dogs that have IVDD or IBD or, or losing the use of their back legs. I'm sure this is good for all of that, but what are some of your biggest success stories? And what are the, when you say protocol, is protocol just for that, or protocol meaning all of the other things that you include with it? Like someone doesn't come in and just get the microcurrent, right?
No, very much. I mean, we are very, very attuned to the fact that, first of all, every patient is different.
Yes, they are. Thank you for saying that.
So
and the reason that I'm complimenting that is because, of course, I know you have seen it your entire life. They want to come in and want to know, okay, my dog what does it have? And then what do I give them? Every dog's different. I can't just tell you take 42 milligrams of a full spectrum extract and it's going to work for your dog. Every dog is different. So thank you for saying that.
And so every patient we talk to about diet, because that is very, very important.
And that was not taught to you in veterinary school, was it?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. And even as far back as when I was going through veterinary school, it wasn't talked about. So they're kind of, well, what's the lifestyle? What are they doing? What are they, are they just barely making around the house, or are they tearing up and down the yard? Because that has a lot to do with what we recommend in terms of what sort of restraint they need or don't need. And one of the nice things with the microcurrent is that it actually is very relaxing. And in people, they generally, the first thing they say is this legal? Is it legal?
Oh, they're coming.
They're
coming to you. They're getting a little CBD, a little something called microcurrent. What's going on here?
Yeah.
What's next? Mushrooms? Yes, mushrooms.
Maybe.
Are you getting into mushrooms yet?
No, I haven't really. Not too much.
Cannabis will always be my favorite, but mushrooms are my next favorite.
Yeah. So we were talking about protocols and some of our success stories. First off, we have a lot of success, which is really good news. I think the biggest challenge is people don't understand, they don't know about it, so it's hard. But as far as protocols, like an ACL patient is going to be completely different than a patient that comes in with back. And then a back injury is going to be completely different than another back injury that has balance issues. And then you'll have a senior dog that comes in. And basically our goal with senior dogs is to make sure that they have quality of life and make sure that they're very comfortable by reducing that pain and reducing that inflammation.
Awesome.
So the CBD health actually helps us with that as well. But as far as our success cases, I just thought of a couple. One was when I first started working with Dr. Rowan. This was probably about four and a half years ago. And it was a dash hound, blonde dash hound. First time I'd ever seen a blonde, beautiful dash hound, Japanese dog. And the dog, we did current on the dog for about 3 months. And I was really getting discouraged. And I could talk to Dr. Rowan and he said, just be patient, a little bit more time. So on that third month, somehow that dog did a 180 and is now like walking well. She's doing really good. Her name's Daisy. And then we have the brother who came in just in the last 3 to 4 weeks with similar issues with the back, because those dash hounds, they love to jump from high buildings and stuff. But that dog reacted immediately. So within 3 weeks, that dog's walking again. So both dogs had this very similar injuries and were able to walk again. So that's one case that kind of sticks out in my head, because I was very frustrated in the beginning with the first dog.
Right.
But then, that third month it turned around, the dog's back walking again. So that was really nice.
Which again is proof of why you just can't say every dog, this dog gets this and this dog gets that. They're in the same house, same family, probably even came from the same litter, doesn't matter. They're still going to need different things. You said something that was very interesting that I'm dealing with right now. I have a Doberman with osteosarcoma, who of course I am treating with no drugs. I am treating with cannabis and mushrooms and ozone and everything else I could possibly think of. Mm-hmm. We haven't amputated her leg yet because she's still using it. Good. And, but I am, I know so much information now. I can call you up and you'll talk to me about it. I have those relationships and I am still, constantly, am I doing the right thing? But you said something that was really important, especially when we get into our senior dogs, and, avoiding unnecessary surgeries, putting them under anesthesia, recovery, all of that takes such a toll, which is my biggest reason for not amputating her leg. I do believe in my heart that it will affect her and how she feels about herself. And she's, she's not the alpha dog, but she is very close to it. So I want to talk about that, because sometimes I see these old dogs with all of these problems and it's like, oh yeah, I'm taking him in for another dental cleaning. And then 2 weeks after that, I'm going to have him have this put under to get this lump removed. And I'm like, stop, you're doing, and you can tell these people want to do whatever they can for their dog, but it's doing worse.
Well, a lot of it is really counseling people that it really isn't that important that every single blemish on their body be eliminated.
Right.
As they get older, things happen.
Right.
And but if their quality of life is good, if their eyes are bright and they're happy with how life is, why do you want to make them feel miserable again?
Right.
For what? I mean, what is the gain? And that's why when I try to talk to people about, because there's so much unnecessary surgery and there's so much unnecessary anesthesia. We have someone now who comes into the office and does dentals without anesthesia.
We have it at our shop too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she comes on, a couple of, so it's twice a month now. For at least a few months, and then generally once a month at any rate. And so that, we're able to give people an alternative to, to all those kinds of problems. Just avoid them.
I know that you're using CBD Dog Health on a regular basis your practice, which we
Yes.
love, and I'm so happy and honored. What are some of the great successes that you've had? Because people need to understand is that you don't need to go have the surgery. There is these 3 holistic remedies that can help you, whether it's a CBD protocol with microcurrent and an adjustment. All of these things make a huge impact. One of the best things that ever happened to me was my Schnauzer had a weird cough and chiropractic adjustment. She's like, oh yeah, when he turned his head this way, this was hitting his, I don't even remember when it's causing him to cough. It's that simple. And
Yes.
some people go and get some sort of surgery or something else or start giving them drugs, and they don't need to do that. There's literally a holistic remedy for everything. Would you agree to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, you're practicing without handing out drugs.
No, I haven't dispensed a drug in 20 years.
That is such an accomplishment. You are my hero. Thank you so much for finally coming on my show. If you ever want to do it again, I'd love to talk to you longer, but I'm out of time and I can't believe it. Where can people find you, Guy? And can someone call or schedule an
Yes.
appointment or consult with you?
Mhm.
The best place is probably our Facebook page, and
Okay.
it's at this Center for Animal Healing. And it's here in Virginia Beach. The telephone number and all of that is available, and you'll be able to contact us through that, I think.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. I learned so much. I'd love to do this again and take on another subject. I'm happy we could learn all about microcurrent, and that's another thing that we can do for our animals. That
Thank you for helping us have complete and total healing. We appreciate it.
anytime. And I'm gonna, once it's all legal, we're gonna have THC products, and I'm coming to you guys first.
Okay, sounds good.
It sounds good.
The cancer, I'm giving Nina 8 to 10 milligrams of THC at night to control, and it's 8 months later and it has not spread. So we are
That's
very
awesome.
excited.
Wonderful.
And she doesn't know she has cancer. She's running around here like a crazy person. So
That's great. Good story.
thank you so much for what you do.
All right.
You're amazing.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.